everybody, and welcome back to another exciting American soccer show here on the Forest Inspire American Soccer Show. This is the CONCACAF Champions Cup quarterfinal second leg review show. I'm your host, Daniel Feuerstein. Once again, I am here to give you great American soccer content. Of course, you can follow me and other writers over at Beyond the 90 at beyondthe90.substack.com and locally in New York Soccer over at baddogsports.com. Come on in. The chat room is open over on YouTube. Talk amongst yourselves if you like. You have a question for me, I'll try to answer it to the best of my abilities. And please don't forget to subscribe here for your daily American soccer content. We are down to the final four after amazing matches played with those clubs in Major League Soccer and Liga MX. And whenever you have these clubs battling it out, going towards international cup competition, you never know what you're going to get. You're going to get yourself either a dogfight, the wild, wild west, or the most desperate 1-0 victory you have ever seen. And it's really interesting when you have people who have their favorite players playing across the world, and they are playing in CONCACAF. They're playing in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Alexander Gignac playing for Tigres in Liga MX. We have Son Heung-min at LAFC, the South Korean international, playing for LAFC again. And in this CONCACAF Champions Cup tournament, Hugo Lloris for France in this tournament as well. And it's just amazing to watch, and it's interesting to see how all of a sudden you have these teams in Mexico or in the United States having the big names of either European football, Asian football, African football, world football all together, and they're here in CONCACAF, and it's just amazing to see this happen. Just amazing. And, you know, when you get to listen to commentary from these other countries that talk the game, whether it be football, whether it be hockey, even in baseball, obviously, if you have English, you have Spanish. If you go to Canada, you know, you'll get hockey games, not only in English, but you'll get it in French. And now you have, I believe it's I don't know the name of the language, but I know it's the Sikhs, I believe, that find a way to, and we're having some problems here. Hang on one second, folks. It looks like I'm going to have to, oh, maybe I fixed it. All right, let's see what happens here now. Hopefully it's fixed and I don't have to bring up the laptop, but, you know, I just hope that little situation got itself resolved. But, you know, when you hear it in a different language, it's really interesting. And, of course, they're watching these games, you know, from afar, unless they flew into the USA and they have their own little studio here in the United States so they can watch it and call the game in their native language for everyone. When you have Son Heung-min obviously playing for LAFC and is one of the best national team players for South Korea, or as they say, Korea Republic, you get some exciting stuff, especially how they call the matches. And then, you know, you get social media, Either you go through their own translation or you go through Google Translate or whatever have you, and then you read the translation of what they're saying, and it's a hoot. It's hilarious. I have to tell you, it's like the South Korean broadcasters could not believe what they were watching, and they could not believe what the heck was going on. The physicality from the Liga MX players, especially the Cruz Azul players, how they battled against LAFC, how they worked themselves to try to get LAFC off their game. And that was, in my opinion, the best game that LAFC ever played away from home and away from league competition. And we'll get to that with Dave Denholm joining me later tonight on a recorded conversation, obviously. But I just want to tell you the amount of bewilderment in the translated comments from Korean to English was hilarious. It's like they don't know what goes on over here. They are confused. They were absolutely dumbfounded. They could not believe what they were watching, and it was hilarious. And of course, if I could talk to them, I could say to them, welcome to CONCACAF. This is what happens when you have Liga MX clubs battling against American MLS clubs and Canadian MLS clubs. This is what you get. They fight, they battle, they scratch, they claw, and yes, they exaggerate. They pretend. They want to catch the opposition in a negative way, and then, oops, he got me again. That's what they do. And this is what CONCACAF is all about. This is why no one knows what goes on over here. This is why everything does not go according to plan. This is why you must be ready and be able, no matter what you got to do, either as a club side, international club competition, or on the national team when it is the Gold Cup, when it is World Cup qualifying. This is where you've got to be on your toes, and you've got to make sure you know who you're battling against. You've got to make sure who is on the same pitch with you and how they're going to play against you, either at your place or at their place. Because this happens all the time. And I'm already numb to it. I know there are people that don't like it, and I understand the gamesmanship that continues on, the dark arts. I'll say it, and pardon my language, shithousery. It happens continuously. It's going to happen. And you've got to be prepared for it. And Son was prepared for it. And that is fantastic. This is where you've got to make sure that you know what you are in for when you're playing against an opponent outside of your own domestic league. This will happen. This is for the marbles. This is for regional supremacy on the club level. If you don't pay attention to what the hell is going on, well, that's what you're going to get. And that is why you got to make sure that you go out there and you play at your best and you do your best. And you just have to make sure that everything goes the way it should. if you don't prepare for these types of games, you've already lost. And that's why FC Cincinnati was disappointing. You played tremendous at home in the first leg, and then you're supposed to prepare for that second leg, and then you screw it up. You somehow find a lifeline, but you still screwed it up, and you couldn't get the job done. That's Cincinnati's fault. That should never have happened, but it did. And all you got to say is they paid the price for it. They got eliminated. And that's why they never went to the quarterfinals. They forgot how to win the game. They forgot how to get the win in the entire series. 3-0 at home is great, but if you're not going to get that away goal early or 2 away goals, what are you going to do? There's nothing you can do. And it's not about going back to the drawing board. You got to hope you qualify for next season's tournament. And that's why you cannot screw around like this. You cannot. Because if you make another mistake like that, you're going to get ridiculed and you're going to get kicked out. And what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I don't know. But I will say this. And it's really simple. Don't do it again. But this is what's great about CONCACAF. And sometimes it's infuriating, and I understand. I completely and utterly understand why they feel it's a joke. But this is how you do it. This is how you battle. This is how you go out there and you battle for 120 minutes, period. Because if you don't battle the way you should, you're going to get kicked out and you're going to lose. And once again, people somewhere else are going to be like, is this even real? Yes, it is. This is real. This is real life stuff. Until you learn how to not get beat the way you do, and you learn how you absorb all of that pressure, all that shenanigans, you will be successful and you will advance to the next round. Hell, you may advance to the final. So all you got to do is just play the way you should. And you stick to the game plan. And when you stick to the game plan, success comes. And when the success comes, you're on your way to hopefully winning that championship, representing not only your club, not only your city, but for the country as well. Because that's what makes the CONCACAF Champions Cup something extraordinary and something special. I got a great show for you tonight. My first guest tonight coming from the Music City, 615 Soccer. He is Clay Trainum. Joining me right now is Clay, my friend. That was a hell of a second leg, a hell of a series against Club America. And Nashville does, I'll say it, you do the unthinkable at one of the greatest home field advantages in this region and on the planet at the Estadio Azteca. That was a hell of a win.
Yeah, it was great, but honestly, and this sounds crazy, and I think that people will view this as being a little bit maybe some naivete, but I don't even think it was unthinkable. I mean, I went into this series thinking Nashville had a shot. Now I felt less confident after a scoreless draw here in Nashville, but like I wasn't surprised to see Nashville really take it to Club America. Club America had their chances, but that was a Nashville game through and through that they played down there.
No, they really did. And, I have to admit, even though they did get the goal, but the way that Nashville was defending, I just said to myself, if we're not going to get anything in this game here, we could be seeing extra time. And I really, really thought that maybe that was another advantage for Nashville because I don't see Club America doing anything with the extra 30 minutes, the way they were playing. It really felt like Nashville really had an edge here.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it is that Nashville played the way that Nashville plays. For the most part, is a little cagier than maybe it would have been if it was an MLS game here in Nashville, but they played that way without Sam Surridge. And I don't know if how many people would remember this, but Sam Surridge's first ever appearance was scoring at like a 7th minute goal on his debut against Club America to send it to extra time in the Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
So, this is a guy who had 30 goals in all competitions last year, scored 6 goals in the Open Cup, and Nashville went to Club America without him and still managed to find a way to win and managed to play in a way that didn't feel different from the way they play with him. And that's the part that really stands out about the performance was that Nashville's depth allows them to play in a lot of different situations where maybe they don't have, all of their pieces together, but they can still look like the same team. And that's a real rarity for MLS squads. And it really speaks to the job they've done building this team in Nashville.
Absolutely. And you also have to give credit to BJ Callahan, how he was able, I would say, maybe learn from certain mistakes he's probably made during Leagues Cup, MLS Cup playoffs, and how he battled against Club America. I mean, I would have to assume he went back to his time as the interim men's national team head coach for the U.S. and how he was able to really get that big moment and to put Nashville ahead into the semifinals. That goal by Hani Mukhtar was a thing of beauty. I don't care if it was scrappy. I don't care if it was pretty. I don't care if it's got to be in the Louvre. That was probably the greatest, I'll say it, the greatest bomb that exploded at the Estadio Azteca.
Yeah, it was a great goal. It's also the type of thing that this is what I mean when I say like they played like Hani has scored a goal that looks like that countless times. I mean, this is a guy who has been, genuinely, a lot of people might recoil at this, but if you go back and look at the numbers and look at the team's success, Hani Mukhtar is one of the probably 5 or 6 best players that has ever played in MLS. And he's certainly arguably the best signing that MLS has made in terms of production. And so, it is crazy to think about, he hasn't had they had the US Open Cup last year, which you've been around the block for a bit, I've been around the block for a bit. We both like the US Open Cup and view it as very important, but it's different now, right? And so he's missing that one big crowning achievement, I think, that will let people cross the bridge to say oh, this is one of the all-time great MLS players. And that could be this champions this MLS Cup. He's got a few years. This is a dude that's going to have a statue outside Geodis Park when it's all said and done. And it just felt perfect that he was the guy who scored that goal. And I think everybody in Nashville kind of felt that it's like Serge isn't playing, Hani stepping up in a big moment. And not only did he scored a very typical Hani goal. Because Hani in transition is one of the best players that's ever played in MLS without having to worry about all of it. Because Hani in transition is something special. He always has been, no matter it's Gary Smith coaching or BJ Callahan. And so he scored a very Hani goal, and to give Nashville arguably its greatest win ever. I'm going to lean towards winning a trophy being your greatest win, but this is right up there because this is on the road at Azteca. Nobody's done that before.
No one's ever done that before. And that's the thing. I mean, the last time I saw any USA team go to the Azteca and get a win, of course, the U.S. men's national team did it in a rare friendly. And it was Orozco Fiscal that got the only goal against Mexico at the Estadio Azteca. And from that point on, I mean, it's been mostly, I would think, a scoreless draw, 1-1 draw, another scoreless draw in World Cup qualifying. But
there was like a 2-2, I think, maybe. There
could have been. But I mean, my God, the U.S. has basically been 4 straight matches unbeaten at the Azteca. It's unheard of, especially in this region. And to see Nashville get that victory, first American MLS club to get a victory in the Champions Cup at the Azteca. The last one was Toronto FC, 2018. They were the first MLS Canadian club to get that win at the Estadio Azteca. So Nashville's in very good company right now.
Yeah, yeah, and honestly, like for all of that, now they're in a round where they have to do it again because no MLS club I think has won at El Volcan, and that's what the semifinal is. So,
That's right.
I mean, it's really turned into quite a like. This would be the if Nashville were to make the final, it would be up there with one of the greatest runs that MLS has ever had. There's only a handful of teams that even made a final to begin with, but if
Mm-hmm.
Nashville is going to make the final, they will have gone through an Inter team that is special, even if they aren't playing quite like it right now. But we all know how good that Inter Miami team will be once the end of the season gets here. They will have gone through Club America. They will have gone through Tigres in two-legged ties, and so it's a big if. It's a big if. They still have to get through Tigres, but they're on the verge of like one of the all-time great runs in the history of the league and CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Exactly. It will be. It's definitely going to be up there. I mean, look, the Sounders, they were able to do it several years ago. Looks like this may be Nashville's time. We'll have to wait and see. But I think the bigger question is this. Are we going to see an all MLS final in the Champions Cup with LAFC and possibly Nashville? I mean, I know LAFC is going to have a tough time against Tigres. You're taking on Toluca. And I think they've really turned it
They're
on.
playing Toluca. Nashville's playing Tigres.
I'm sorry, you're playing Tigres. That's right. My fault. My bad. Sorry about that. But
Yeah.
still, though, Nashville taking on Tigres. Oh, I don't know what I have to tell you about Tigres. Tigres is one of those clubs in Mexico. It's one of the best of the best. They'll have their moments, but they are one of
Yeah.
the better clubs in Liga MX. So, your thoughts about, what is Nashville up for now in this semifinal round?
Well, it's really hard to like. It's hard to judge because a lot of these Mexican teams have been pretty inconsistent this year,
Mm-hmm.
and Tigres would definitely fall into that. Toluca was looking great, and now they've kind of hit and miss here recent weeks. And then Club America, it's been a rough season at times for Club America, but like it is it's exciting the idea that it could be an MLS team versus an MLS team. Truthfully, I wouldn't bet against that LAFC game in any game right now. Like the LAFC team is rolling in a way that very few teams ever have. I'd say that knowing that they lost this past weekend, but that's the nature of
Yes.
MLS, right? Like wild
Mm-hmm.
results happen. Same thing happens in Mexico, to be fair. But it does for a lot of people that have been around this Nashville team the last few years. This feels a lot like the League's Cup run to the final where
Mm-hmm.
it felt
Yep.
like, oh, this is the end here. And then they got past that team. Because if you go back and look at that League's Cup run, that wasn't a great Nashville team. It was a good team. But they
Yep.
beat an FC Cincinnati team that won the Shield that year.
Yep.
And then they beat Club America. And then they beat Monterrey, which was the highest priced team in the league. On the and then they played in between those two, they played like a fairly whatever Minnesota
Mm-hmm.
side, and then they played Inter Miami in the final, and it does feel like this is lining up in the same way. Whereas if Nashville win over Tigres, who's to say what happens in the final? Because if they can beat Tigres, in a two-legged tie, and they could beat Club America at Club America, then they're going to have what it takes, no matter who that opponent is, to give a good match. And this will be a team that at that point now has been tested several times in big moments in big places.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely, I agree. And this is where the fun begins, doesn't it, Clay? I mean, the fun's already started, but this is where the real fun begins. 2 more legs. Try to get to that single match final, and whatever happens in there, obviously, cards are on the table. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you're going to.
That Oh man, that Leagues Cup final a few years ago, that was 11 rounds of penalties. Like it was crazy. And
Yep.
it was here in Nashville and it was unbelievable. And I don't know that people are familiar with the sports misery of being a fan in Nashville. There's not been a lot to cheer about in
Right.
recent years. The Titans have been down for a long time. The Preds had a magical run in the Stanley Cup, but that
Yep.
was a decade ago. And so and they ran coming out of that Stanley Cup run. The Preds ran the whole city. Like you couldn't go anywhere without seeing Preds stuff. Like everyone knew about the Preds, and they're still living off of that run here. And there's a real opportunity if Nashville gets something. The Open Cup kind of unlocks some things here in the city, but you have to explain what the Open Cup is to people.
Oh, I
If
know.
you don't have to explain, you're the best club on your continent. And
Right.
so like that is the part that is really, really exciting. And then, and my wife and I, we live here in the immigrant community in Nashville. We live in South Nashville, and so we're surrounded by a lot of Latin fans. And when Nashville plays these games against Latin American opponents, like specifically the Mexican teams, but we've heard about it from some of the other squads they've played over the
Yeah.
years. That's the part that's exciting for us. Like when Nashville got that win against Club America a few years ago, like on
Mhm.
penalties in the Leagues Cup, like my neighbor was
Yeah.
like Club America, like it like genuinely was something that changed the conversation. And so now they've been able to
Yes.
do it here a few years, and that really feels different here in Nashville.
Yes, it does. And I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad that everyone over in Nashville is going with Nashville SC. Of course, there will still be those dedicated to those clubs in Mexico, but it's great to see though that everyone in Nashville is really gung ho for this, and it's really exciting. This is what I would tell them about the Open Cup, Clay. I just tell them this is our version of the NCAA Final Four, but only in professional and amateur men's soccer.
Yeah, I tell people it's the U.S. National Championship because that's
That's right.
technically what it is.
It
and
is.
and
That's what it is. Our
so
national championship of the game. Yep.
they don't. Yeah, and so, but it's still the concept of playing different events during the season is something that is foreign to your mainstream sports fan, although it's changing because soccer has obviously grown, and so people kind of understand what the FA Cup is and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
but
Yep.
but still, there's a difference between saying you won this US Open Cup and that you have to kind of explain it. You don't have to explain we're the best team in North America, just beating all
Right.
the big Mexican teams. And that does
Right.
change things a little bit. And I mean, ultimately, with the mainstream sports fan, they're going to talk about the National League and what that is. But
Mm-hmm.
this
Yes.
is just moving the conversation forward and making people, more aware of all the fun that you can have, following this league and following these teams. And we've really seen it. Like 615 launched last year. Like we were all kind of doing our own little thing in our own little pockets of the city,
Yep.
and we have seen the interest pick up crazy, like in a crazy extent all over Nashville, and it's been awesome.
That's great to hear. And that's fantastic to listen to. Well, Clay, I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight. That was once again uh, big win over Club America. And now you got Tigres coming up next. That's a tall task to face. And hopefully, two more legs to go. And hopefully, it's into the final, my friend.
Yeah, maybe I'm talking to you here in a couple weeks.
Hopefully, let's go and get that done. All right.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Have a good night, my friend. Take care.
Thanks. Have a good one.
You too. Clay Trainum, 615 Soccer, as of course they are moving on to the semifinals to take on Tigres. But unfortunately, we have to talk about that one team, of course, a Champions Cup champion themselves, the Seattle Sounders, unfortunately couldn't get the job done. And as we get ready to go here on the show, joining me from Cascadia FC over in Seattle, Washington, Michael Martinez joining me. Michael, camera's not working well tonight?
It is not. I'm also driving to Seattle, so if you hear the background noise, what's going on?
Seattle. Not much. Everything's okay. But, I got to tell you, that was, for me, a better second leg. Just couldn't get that fourth goal to trump the away goal by Tigres at Lumen Field.
Oh, 100%. That honestly, like the second leg was a fantastic game by the Sounders. The line of confrontation was much higher. The attacking play in the final third was so much better, reminiscent of 2025 Sounders. But this game honestly was lost in Mexico in the first leg.
Yeah, it really was, unfortunately. You couldn't get an away goal down there at Tigres, 2-0 on the road. I mean, if you're going to really take this tie, you got to at least get an away goal to keep yourselves in the match. And I'll be honest with you, and I'll put it up, obviously. I thought Albert Rusnak's first goal, and I'm thinking to myself, here they come. They're on their way. Maybe they're going to do the comeback. Maybe it's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, Joaquim Henrique buries the Sounders on the away goal in the 31st minute.
Yeah, overall, that play was really frustrating because the Sounders had the momentum going forward, but it was just a poor bit of defending from Jordan Morris, and honestly, that's the defense for not marking him, who scored a goal in the first leg, if I'm correct. And you have a player as good as Joaquim who's going to be able to head the ball into the back of the net. You have to follow your marks. And the Sounders had control of their destiny this entire time, and they just one moment of lost concentration lost the game.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate. But, look, I give them credit. They were still in it. They were still fighting. They believed that they could chop off the deficit, and they did. But once again, as we've already said, that one away goal was just too much for them. Great goal, Danny Musovski, it's 49th minute. And Rusnak gets his second of the match in the 82nd minute. Just unfortunately, not enough. What did Schmetzer say during the press conference after the match about his side in that second leg?
He was very proud of the team in the second leg because the team played really well. He acknowledged that the first leg maybe he could have done things a little differently, which honestly he should have. I think the key to this game was Jesus Ferreira. You have a player of his quality who is doing so well at the start of the season. If you're not going to use him in either leg, then what are we trying to go for the win, or are we just trying to not lose? And that's kind of how it felt. Like, Schmitz was very happy with the play in the second leg. I think most Sounders fans can agree. But just, again, I just keep bringing it back to that first leg where I just think the tactics were not right. And you can't go down to Mexico and play timid like that.
No, you can't. You really can't. You got to go out there. You got to play balls to the wall. You got to battle for every inch of pitch, every blade of grass, and you got to make sure you come away with a proper result. So when you go home, you can take that advantage with you.
100%. And we saw the Sounders do that in the previous match against Vancouver, where in Vancouver they took it to them 1-2-0. They looked really good doing it, and then they go to Spokane and they put Vancouver to bed. Like we've seen the Sounders be able to do this, and yet just for some reason when it came to playing at El Volcan in Mexico, they couldn't get it done. And I just think that was just poor tactics all around. That's what it came down to.
And you rarely say that about Brian Schmetzer. You really do. I mean, I'll admit, you've never seen poor tactical displays from Schmetzer at all, because he normally has them ready to go. They're off and running. They're battling. Nothing is going wrong. And then all of a sudden, it's like, why did you have to have the dud tonight?
Right, yeah. Like 98% of the time, Schmetzer will get it right.
Yep.
Like, that's why he's one of the best and most winningest managers in MLS history. Like, and we've seen he did it in 2022 when the Sounders won CONCACAF Champions League. And I feel like if we would have gotten the tactics right in the first leg and they played like they did in the second leg, Sounders would be easy favorites for the cup, 100%.
Yep, I agree. I absolutely agree. And it like we already said, and I have nothing bad to say about Schmetzer at all. It's just one of those rare moments. It happened. unfortunately. But look, hopefully for the Sounders, they'll get back to the Champions Cup next season, and they can have a better situation and a better run when 2027 comes along. And of course, we all know that's sprint season time before we all move to the brand new international calendar season, which of course is the normal way of things. But look, I thought this match in the second leg was much better. What differences did you see in this second leg than you did in the first leg?
The biggest thing was the attacking patterns and the play in the final third. The Sounders did not look afraid to want to play with the ball. And as soon as they brought on Danny Musovski at halftime, that changed the game. Because you have a pure strike, you have someone who's up top who you can, or honestly, like have almost like a target man, and that's not how Danny Musovski plays. But you have that player to look out to play off of, and I think having that, they didn't really have that in the first half. Because Jordan Morrissey's better at the pressing and everything else, but I just feel like as soon as they made that switch, that's when the Sounders really started kicking it into gear. That is the biggest thing. So the Sounders play really well when they're on the front foot and when they're playing in the final third. And since we finally saw that in the second half, I think that was the biggest difference.
Yeah, it really was. So now that the Sounders are done with CONCACAF Champions Cup play, obviously league play is going on right now. They have a lot of things to take care of, but what do you think is going to be the biggest thing that they have to do to be better for the rest of the season? And of course, we all know the World Cup break is coming soon. So what do you believe they must do to get back on track?
I actually talked about this on the Sunways from the Sea podcast that I do. The biggest thing I think is nailing down the starting striker. You nail down that starting number 9. You build your team and your style of play around him, and then you're set. Like, I fully believe that Sounders do that, then there is no stopping this team.
Yeah. Yes. So where do you think they're going to look at when we get to the transfer window in the summer window? What do you think they're going to be targeting? Who do you think they're going to be targeting? What do you think they need to do to bring in a good, talented player? Or who do you think is going to come up from Tacoma?
I don't think there'll be much coming from Tacoma this time around, but I do think if the Sounders are going to go out into the transfer window, it will definitely be more something in the midfield or maybe some additional winger depth. I think that would be the biggest key to win this, for the Sounders to continue this run.
Okay. All right. Oh, we'll see what happens there. But other than that, is everyone ready for World Cup action in Seattle? Is everyone excited and ready to go?
Everybody has been ready and excited and ready to go. Like, the hype around the city, despite the ticket pricing and everything else that's been going on, I think the hype has been real. And honestly, we're all just excited. Like, obviously I live in Portland, but the excitement around the World Cup is unlike anything I've ever seen. I'm excited, personally, but I know the city is as well.
No, that's great. That's absolutely great. I'm glad to hear that. It makes me happy. I'll be honest with you. I've been excited. I've been ready to go for this World Cup to come back to American shores, obviously. Of course, we have our friends in Canada up north and in Mexico down south. But honestly, I have been very excited, and I've been waiting for this comeback for a very, very long time. And I'm just happy to see that. Of course, we all know what's going on in the New York, New Jersey area, of course. People who want to claim that we have no idea what we are in for. Of course, that's a lie. Yeah. Especially in New Jersey. It's an absolute disgrace. I don't know if you read my latest article on Beyond the 90. I really, I'm a train guy, so I'm a big train fan. I don't know if you are too.
It's on my list. I saw you post it, and I was like, I need to read this.
Yep. I just look. I just feel like you have a new governor, obviously taking over for the old one. And then you have New Jersey Transit just trying to do anything and everything to scam. I don't care what side of the Hudson River they're coming from, Michael. You know, whether they're staying in hotels in Manhattan or in Queens or in Brooklyn or in Westchester County or in Staten Island or in the Bronx. I don't care if they're staying in Hoboken at the W. I don't care if they're going to be somewhere in Secaucus or Carlstadt, New Jersey, or in Hackensack. I don't care. You cannot gouge your own ticket machines because you're upset that somehow you feel not included when you knew what was coming. You knew what was coming, and you knew what was going to happen. You knew.
Yeah, they had more than enough time to be prepared, and yet here they are.
Yeah, exactly. You had
It's
more than ample time to prepare, to be ready, to go out there and get the job done. And once again, when you've got people in government who are like, well, we didn't sign up for this. Yeah, no kidding, because you're not the one. You weren't the governor then. You were not the governor then. Period.
It's just the situation, the state of the situation that we have to deal with all the transit. It's just really sad. Hearing all over the country, whether it's up north in New Jersey, New York, or it's in Philadelphia, Boston, Seattle's, as far as I know, the pricing isn't as bad, but everywhere else is just it hurts, honestly. Because football's supposed to be for everybody, and shit like this is not going to make it for everybody.
No, it's not. But once again, as the good old former Seattle Sounder Casey Keller has said, you signed a contract because he was part of the Seattle World Cup hosting committee. You signed a contract to bring a World Cup games to these stadiums, and you're part of the New York, New Jersey area. I mean, you cannot tell me that you're upset over this.
Yeah. And if you aren't, then you're not doing it right.
Exactly.
Then you're not listening.
No, you're definitely not listening. And it's just hurtful and stupid when you have people in government that are not paying attention to the optics that are going to be happening. And to only give out 40,000 tickets to the Meadowlands New Jersey Transit Station, where you're going to go from New York Penn to Secaucus Junction, and then you take that special train that goes to the Meadowlands. I mean, no, I'm sorry. That's absolutely wrong. You can't do 40,000 tickets only and then say you're SOL.
Yeah, right. Like what are we doing?
I know. What are we doing? It's unbelievable. I feel like Taylor Twellman. Like, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
Oh my goodness, it's just ridiculous. I swear. Sometimes this is why I'm glad I'm not in government, Michael. This is why I'm glad I'm not.
I couldn't handle it.
No. You couldn't handle it. I can't handle it. We both couldn't handle it. It's ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. That's why politics is such a dangerous game. I can't play it. I don't want to play it. I try to avoid it as much as I can. So, hey, what are you going to do? But, it is what it is, unfortunately.
That's why we're in our industry.
That's right. I'd rather be in the sports journalism than be in political journalism. That's for sure.
100%.
Anything else going on with Cascadia FC? What you got lined up for us?
Right now, obviously, we got Jeremy Peterman, who is the GOAT, doing fantastic work in Cascadia and with work with the Portland Timbers. And we actually just had our photographer for the Whitecaps, Alex Bowen. He put out a fantastic article talking about the Save the Caps movement and kind of broke it down for like how it feels for the city, how it feels for the fans. And I think everybody should be giving that a read.
Exactly. And of course, I am supporting the Whitecaps to remain in Vancouver. I had on Michael McCall from Away from the Numbers joining me from British Columbia over in Vancouver. I mean, it's really simple. We cannot have the Whitecaps leave Vancouver, period.
No.
Cannot happen. Hopefully it will not happen. Hopefully calmer heads will prevail and they will remain in Vancouver, British Columbia. Michael, as always, I appreciate your time. Get to your destination safely, and I will talk to you again soon, my friend. You take care.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Michael Martinez from Cascadia FC. Great job by him to give us that wonderful report here with the Sounders. Unfortunately, they could not get that fourth goal to trump the away goal. But once again, this is something that hopefully next season they'll be able to make another run and hopefully win their second CONCACAF Champions Cup title. Once again, I have a recorded interview with Mr. Dave Denholm. He is the Los Angeles FC radio play-by-play voice of the club. I've known Dave Denholm for many, many years before he ever was with LAFC's radio broadcasting team. Great insight from him. And here is that interview right now. Once again, the great Dave Denholm. Welcome back to the American Soccer Show, ladies and gentlemen. Daniel Foyerson here, and with my longtime friend and currently the radio play-by-play voice of Los Angeles FC on ESPN Radio, the one and only, the great Dave Denholm joining me tonight. You know it's true, Dave. You're a great one. You know that.
Daniel, I appreciate all the love, brother. It's always good to talk to you.
It's always great to talk to you as well. You know, I have to tell you, the day that Cherundolo left LAFC, the biggest question mark hanging over the club was always going to be the head coach. That's how I always felt it was going to be, because who was going to mirror not just what Bob Bradley did, but what Cherundolo did to upgrade the club. And everything he's done for that club has been nothing short but brilliant. And here comes Mark Dos Santos. I know, assistant coach, I believe, for the club. And I remember him being with, at the time, the Ottawa Fury in the original, I wouldn't say the original, but the second version of the North American Soccer League. And I'm not saying he's not a slouch, but you wondered about what he could do to make the club better. And it's great to having Bowanga and Son, of course. But wow, what an amazing job he's done, especially in the Champions Cup, taking out Cruz Azul at BMO Stadium and then pulling that off down in Mexico. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree. It's really no fluke. You know, certainly it's always difficult to go to Mexico to get any kind of result that you need. But LAFC, they really just shut that series down at BMO Stadium, you know. So, yeah, they got the result they needed at Cruz Azul, and they played well enough, but they didn't really even have to. They were just in control, you know. They were just better than Cruz Azul. That's the bottom line. And, you know, you don't often see that out of MLS teams. I mean, you are starting to see it more and more, frankly, and Nashville's doing that. And certainly there are a few other teams. Seattle, of course, did it a few years ago and won the whole thing. But I really like what Mark is bringing in that he has a great interpersonal relationship with these players, you know, because he's been there, obviously part of, as you said, part of Cherundolo's staff. So he knows these guys. There was good continuity that way. And, you know, he gets along with everybody, but he's running the show. You know, he's doing the things he wants to do with his team, just slight tweaks. You didn't need to make big changes. We know that. They didn't make big changes to the roster, and you didn't need to make big changes really to the coaching and how you're coaching and how you're allowing this team to play. And I think John Thorrington knew that. And that's, you know, probably a large reason. The personal relationships, that's probably a large reason why they talk about the LAFC way and doing things the way they want to do. It's probably a large reason why he got the job, because he knows what that's about. And he's really just continuing what has been going on, not doing something different necessarily, but he is his own man and he's made some tweaks, no doubt. And it's going to be his team. It is his team. And he's responsible now. And you can't really start much better. Look, they hit a bit of a little lull because of the Champions Cup and the way the schedule's jammed up. Daniel, you know that. You know how these teams kind of struggle sometimes, really. And you know, when you start in both, you see some teams almost punting MLS early in the season just to make sure they're ready. But we haven't done that by any means. And one of the best defenses in the league. And that'll always get you far, right? So he's even gone farther than Cherundolo did with the defense, if that's possible, and has even tightened it up even further.
I have to tell you, and we're going to put it up here, of course. Dave Martinez, to me, has been, I'm not surprised, of course, the youth system that LAFC has, but the way that Dave Martinez has responded, especially in that first leg against Cruz Azul, how he scored his goals, just amazing. The positions he gets into, he's in perfect position to put himself into a goal scoring opportunity, and he converts those opportunities like he's been, I don't know, a 9-10 year vet. He's just been amazing to me.
Well, yeah, there's good reason for that because I think you're right. First of all, he's growing. I've said it for a couple of years. This is not the first time I'll say it. If you go back and listen to some of the things I've done, he is the most talented player in MLS, not named Messi. Now, is he better than Son Heung-min or better than Denis Bouanga? No, he's got a long way to go that way, right? He's got to get better and better. He's only 20 years old, but he's as talented as anybody I've seen that's not named Messi, frankly, with the talent he has and the skills and just the vision. And you said it, the way he moves. I mean, he's blowing by Cruz Azul defenders like they weren't even there, Daniel. They didn't know what to do with him, and that's not the only time he's done that. We saw it in spurts throughout his first couple of, because he's so young. Coming to, LAFC when he was 18. This is his year 20, 20th season, and it's the whole season because he just turned 20. So he's not like he's a young player this year still. Just incredible talent. The sky is the limit, and he's getting better and better. He really has taken big steps, and I think that's kind of natural at this age. He's really, really putting forth more effort defensively. We see that. He's become a much better defensive player, way more solid that way. He has great vision, as you said. He just can play. He knows how to play. There's guys you just watch, and we all know when you watch a sport long enough, and if you're really into it like we are with football and the people who are obviously watching this and listening to it, they're big football, big soccer fans, right? You can see it, and it doesn't take that much. He can play. He has all the gifts. He knows how to play, and he can do it. And he's just getting better and better. It's just a fun player to watch. He doesn't get maybe as much recognition as some of the other young players. Maybe it's because he's been around a few years already, and it's just kind of like you don't even realize he's still only 20 years old and still growing. Even as a Venezuelan international, that team is growing. That nation is growing as a footballing nation. So he's going to be a big part of that. He's going to be a huge part of LAFC's success moving forward.
Yeah, he really is. Now, to the second leg matchup, obviously, Gabriel Fernandez gets the penalty, converts it. It's 3-1 on aggregate. LAFC still leading. And
terrible penalty call. That was just ridiculous, too.
It
really was. We see that so much, with Liga MX sides. They know what they're doing. You can't fault Fernandez. He flopped in the box and got the call. And the fact that VAR called over the referee, Daniel, because the referee called the penalty, VAR calls him over to take a look because it's so clearly and obviously just a dive and it's show acting in the box. And yet the referee sticks with his call. I mean, it was ridiculous. Obviously, you start to think, certainly the Cruz Azul fans got into it thinking, here we go, we're back into this early in the first half, just like we wanted. If you were going to draw it up, that's what Cruz Azul wanted, trailing 3-0 with no road goal. They wanted that early goal to put the pressure. But then LAFC did not wilt. They took the bad call, took it on the chin. The penalty is scored, and they just didn't go anywhere. They didn't fall apart. They didn't give Cruz Azul chance after chance and hang on. They were in control. And yeah, LAFC got a late penalty. Okay. A 1-0 Cruz Azul would have been a fair result too, frankly. It wasn't like LAFC was worried about running around scoring a bunch of goals. They didn't have to. They were just in control. And they were just the better team after 2 legs. That's the bottom line. I'm sure Cruz Azul would even say that. This was a very comfortable 4-1, frankly.
It really was. And, not just because it's a comfortable victory, but to do it against a club like Cruz Azul, who won the tournament last year.
Exactly.
Beat the Whitecaps last year. And, to have that notch on LAFC's belt has just been tremendous, Dave. I mean, that's probably
I agree.
The best result they've ever had.
Yeah, well, it's right up there. I think I think beating Club America, well, certainly winning MLS Cup, beating Club America to get in the Club World Cup, that was a massive game last year, coming back the way they did. I think, I don't think you're wrong, but I think it'll kind of be overlooked because of the ease of that first leg, winning 3-0. And people kind of just assume, well, the second leg is going to be super tough and it's going to get close. And that's just what Mexican teams do, right? They don't really that great on the road in the first leg in America anymore. They're not that. Mexican teams don't have a lot of success in the United States anymore, or at least, I mean, that's a bit of a maybe a cliche or an overreach. It's not all Liga MX teams, but you know what I'm saying? Like MLS teams are certainly getting better at home in these competitions. We see that. So people just kind of assumed, well, Cruz Azul will turn it on in the second leg. Of course, they're going to make this interesting. Maybe they won't come all the way back, but they're going to make this difficult. And LAFC is going to have all kind of problems. It just didn't materialize that way. They're just better. Now, that's not to say that Toluca isn't a whole different kind of challenge, certainly. And we won't have to get into that too much right now. But, this is only the semifinals. There's still a lot of work to do for anybody who's going to win this tournament out of the final 4 teams.
No, it really will be. And, even as well as I do, Dave, even these clubs in Mexico, they will physically intimidate you. They're going to try to push you off the ball. They're going to try and run you over. They're going to try and shove you hard off the ball, illegally take you out. I mean, as well as I do. I don't have to explain this to you. You've seen many of these Champions Cup games, Champions League games where Mexican clubs are always going to try and find a way to intimidate you,
sure,
whether it's on the ball or off the ball. And the way they absorbed that pressure was even much sweeter. And giving those players on Cruz Azul the yellow card with frustrating them. And that's the number one thing, Dave. You got to frustrate them to make sure you get the necessary result to advance.
Well, I think you can because Liga MX teams are so confident, and I'm not saying overcome. I mean, they're good, so they know that, and they're gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to beat them, but when you do handle them, they get frustrated. They don't know how. They're not used to that. Let's say these giant teams in Liga MX, right? They're not. Club America is not used to losing at Azteca to anybody, let alone an MLS side like they did with Nashville. You know what I mean? So it stuns them. Certainly, I think they should be getting more used to it because I don't see much of a difference between the very best in either one of these leagues. Now any one of these 4 teams can win it. That's not to say LAFC is going to win it or Nashville's going to win it. They can, but so can Tigres and Toluca. That's why they're there, right? That's why these 4 teams are here. So it's still a lot of work to be done, but it's not. I think it's gone are the days where. And again, not that it can't happen. You said it. Vancouver got run over in the final last year. Now, we can talk about extenuating circumstances, but that nobody's going to remember that in 15 years, right? They're just going to see Cruz Azul destroyed them 5-0. But, that's the same Cruz Azul team that lost 7-0 to Seattle in the League's Cup. So where's the balance, right? Whenever an MLS team wins, it's, that competition didn't matter or they were playing the bat. You know what I mean? There's always excuses, as we know, Daniel. But I just don't see much difference between these teams anymore. They're just, if you're a good team, you're a good CONCACAF team. If you're a bad CONCACAF team, you're going to struggle in both these leagues. It doesn't really matter.
Nope, does not at all. Does not. I don't know if you caught this or not, whether it was on social media or a friend told you about it. Apparently, Korean television is following Sun in MLS and in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Can you believe the commentary? Now, even though I don't understand Korean myself, but then you read the translation saying, these guys can't believe what they're watching in Korea calling this match. They couldn't believe the shenanigans that's going on.
Well,
it's like,
I think we're
welcome to our world.
It's funny because we shouldn't get used to it, but I think we are in CONCACAF, sadly. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the way it is. Look, what I always say about Liga MX sides, right? Kudos to them if they can pull it off, right? You shouldn't be bothered by it, but if you are, shame on you, not them, right? Like, and again, I'm not saying I would coach my team to do those kind of things or, I mean, I don't like them, but it's also a case where, it's not unexpected, right? You should be prepared for this as a team going up against a top Liga MX side, right? As you said, they're going to try to pull every advantage. And if they get away with it, what are you to do here? It's professional sports, unfortunately. I don't like it, but you have to be prepared for it. And LAFC were, certainly Nashville was. There's no, to Club America's credit, they just went out and played. It's not like it happens every game. But I will say this, Liga MX sides, to their credit, do not like to lose. Like, I know that's a cliche, but it goes beyond that, right? They are going to spill their blood and their heart and their guts at every game. You have to drive a stake through a Liga MX side's heart to beat them out of a tournament. Like, you are never done with them until that final whistle. Like, they will battle and battle and battle and battle and never give up, and will make it difficult. Even if you're the better team and you're going to win, they're going to make you earn every drop of it, to their credit. And that's a league that's very underrated. Obviously, these teams are underrated. They're just very tough. They're very tough to beat in these situations. That's the bottom line.
Yep, it really is the bottom line. And now the next challenge, as we already talked about, Toluca, the semifinals are on. I mean, look, you've seen enough of Liga MX teams and clubs, battling out there, whether it's against themselves or against MLS clubs in this tournament.
Yep.
What are you expecting out of this one? And is this the bigger challenge for LAFC in these next two legs?
Well, yes, I know what you mean. Yes, it's a bigger challenge in that I think Toluca, you'd have to consider actually them the favorite right now, the slight favorite over LAFC to win the whole thing. I mean, not just this. This semifinal is ridiculous. Toluca versus LAFC. It is awesome and just dripping with talent and dripping with two great teams. Like, this thing is going to be amazing. And you'd have to consider these two teams maybe the side of the bracket that's a slight favorite, right? So that's a tough thing. There's no doubt. If you're going to beat Toluca, look, but I always say with these situations, you got to beat everybody, right? If you slip up in the semis, you could be out. That doesn't mean Toluca's going to win it automatically. If LAFC beats Toluca, they still got a lot of work to do. It's a long process. It's a grueling tournament. This thing, you earn it if you win the CONCACAF Champions Cup. There is no sliding through and hoping you kind of skirt your way around a few teams. No, you earn this thing by the time you win it. If you win it, you deserve it. And it is not going to be easy for any of these four teams left. I think the Toluca matchup is incredible. I really do. Like, LAFC, how do you know what's going to happen to either team, right? I watch LAFC. I've never missed a game since they've been in the league since 2018. I've been play-by-play for them since day one. How do you know what's going to happen? Like, that's how good these teams are, right? Both teams can be. They can, if one of these teams plays their best game, they won't lose. Like, if either Toluca or LAFC are so good that if they play their best, you can't beat them. Like, you're just not going to win. So it's a matter of literally going out there and just playing your best games when it counts. And so far, so good for LAFC. No doubt about that. As you said, against Cruz Azul, they looked incredible. If they continue that, then they will not lose to Toluca in this round. Now, easier said than done, because Toluca is going to make you make mistakes at times. They're going to force things. They love the push the action. They are not afraid to win 4-3. They'll go after you. They probably don't want to win 1-0 no matter where they're playing, whether it's I know the road goals is a factor and all that, but Toluca's not looking at games trying to, they're just going to go out and play their game. LAFC is going to play theirs, and it is literally just who plays better in these two rounds, because they're both so good. I don't think there's a clear advantage for either side physically or talent wise. It just comes down to, in this week, Wednesday through Wednesday, those two games, let's go. Let's just kick the ball and see who's better. And I happen to think it's going to be LAFC. What a surprise, right? But I do think LAFC are the best team in CONCACAF right now, the best defense in CONCACAF at this level. And I think that makes a big difference in these, the tighter you get to these final games. We saw it with Nashville. I mean, credit their defense, right? You hold down Club America for 2 straight, you deserve to go on, and you deserve to advance, and they got the job done. So I think right now, again, you need offense, you need pressure, you need the ability to score, and all these teams have it, but you need that defense. And I think LAFC's defense is better than Toluca's right now, and that just might be the difference.
I agree with you, Dave. And it's going to be a hell of a ride. That semifinal double leg. It's going to be fantastic. I can't
Yeah.
wait. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Los Angeles FC play-by-play announcer, Dave Denholm, my good friend Dave Denholm, for such a long time. Thank you
Thank you,
again,
Daniel.
Dave. I appreciate it. And good luck in the semifinals.
Yeah, appreciate talking to you. It's always fun. I love doing it. So anytime, brother, continued success to you. It's always fun. Go LAFC. I'm hoping for big things in this CONCACAF Champions Cup semi.
Obviously, so are we. Thanks again. And that was Dave Denholm from LAFC, of course, the radio broadcasting play-by-play man for LAFC on ESPN Radio Los Angeles. Great guy, wonderful guy. I've known him for a very, very long time, and I am grateful he was able to come on the show and to give me a helping hand with the review of LAFC against Cruz Azul, knocking off at the time, the defending champions of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Final match, of course, unfortunately for the Los Angeles Galaxy, they were eliminated by Toluca at home. They were down 4-2 on aggregate. They did get 2 away goals, but unfortunately, the 3 goals that Toluca scored trumped their 2 on the away goal rule, and they basically won it on aggregate 7-2. Jesus Gallardo, 10th minute, to make it 5-2. Paulino got a brace 58th and 64th minute, and that would be the end of it, as Toluca will also advance to the semifinals, and Toluca is taking on LAFC, while Nashville SC takes on Tigres. Should be exciting. Should be a lot of fun. And, once again, this is going to be exciting. Toluca against LAFC, Nashville against Tigres. This is what we're all expecting. This is what we're all hoping for. We're going to get ourselves a damn good semifinals for the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for tonight's show. I want to thank my guests who came on tonight. I want to thank Clay Trainum from 615 Soccer. I want to thank Michael Martinez from Cascadia FC. And I also want to thank Dave Denholm, LAFC radio broadcaster and play-by-play man. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. Join me for another Feuerstein's Fire American Soccer show. And then, of course, the 4th round of the U.S. Open Cup will be this upcoming week, just as I believe the first leg of the semifinals of the CONCACAF Champions Cup will also be played. My name is Daniel Feuerstein. Thank you very much for watching me tonight. And as always, please, 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 please enjoy your football. Thank you. Take care so long, and have a good night. And bye-bye for now. Have a good night, everybody.